In today's video, I'm going to give you a crash course on how to prepare yourself for representation with an agent or a manager. I have gone from having no representation to landing my very first agent. It was Wayman Talent out in Minneapolis. Now I am represented in LA through Vox Talent, Atlanta through J Purvis, represented in Chicago through Big Mouth Talent, also in New York and LA through ACM Talent, my management company. I'm going to give you all of the tools you need to reverse engineer what I did to land agents. What does an agent do for a voice actor? An agent provides you opportunities in the form of auditions. If you're only focused on getting auditions today, that's what an agent is for. Managers, on the other hand, they focus more on like the big picture, the long-term strategy of your career. Really, that's the difference. Agents have a huge stable of talent, huge, and they don't have the bandwidth to focus on each individual person's career development. A manager will also pitch you way more than an agent does because management companies have small rosters. If you take a look here, they got male voices. I know it looks like a lot in this block of text here, but it's not. Cope management, the same thing. Here's a male commercial. This is all their males, which means that managers, by virtue of that, have way more time to spend on each particular talent's journey. There's a lot of things you can do for yourself without relying on a manager. There's really never a downside to having an agent. When you get the audition from the agent, how does that work? In almost every case, it'll be an email and it'll say, hey, here's an audition for X client. Here is when it's due. Is it non-union or is it union? Here are the specs. Here is the pay structure. Here is some extra material that'll help you, reference tracks. Here's the script. And you need to submit this by this deadline and drop it in a Dropbox, Google Drive, or just send it via email. Most times the turnaround for a commercial audition is 24 hours. Every once in a while, you get those rush auditions, but even a rush audition, you're gonna have at least a whole day to do it. So if you get it at 8 o'clock in the morning, it won't be due until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If it's for animation and video games, you typically will have anywhere from a day to a week. Most auditions for promo and trailer are gonna be due within hours. Political spots are very fast. We're talking 15 to 30 minutes. How much competition is there for these auditions that you get from your agents and managers? A lot. Most rosters have anywhere from 100 to 500 talent on them. So this is Atlas talent, and this is commercial only. Voiceover men, that is a lot of talent, guys. Same thing with voiceover women. It is a lot of people, and that's just Atlas talent. If you go to DPN talent, another LA, New York agency, come on, guys, pages and pages and pages of talent. They aren't going to submit 100 people per agency. Usually they say send your best 10 or send your best 15. But you want to be in that 10 or 15. Let's talk about commissions. How much do you pay an agent? If you are non-union, it typically is going to be 20% off of what you book. So if the job is $1,000, you're going to pay the agent $200 and you'll get $800 back. If you are union, it's typically going to be 10%. At the end of the day, money is money. So as long as you're making money, don't think of it as such a negative thing. So let's talk about what agents look for when they're trying to decide whether to sign a talent or not. Are you a bookable actor? Is your voice print, your point of view, your acting chops good enough to book a commercial? That's called being bookable. That's really where your performance comes in. Also on that, your performance should not be limited to one genre. If you're only good at animation and video games, but you suck at commercials, they're likely not going to sign you. Agencies make money from commercial. That's where the big bucks come from. They're also looking for somebody who is a business-minded person because they're working hard to get you opportunities. You should be working equally as hard to build your career so that the stuff that they give you doesn't make up 100% of the money that you get. And they want somebody who's directable. They want somebody who knows exactly what the client is looking for. So if the client says, that was a great read, but we want to go this direction with it, can you make that tweak? It should be a tweak. It shouldn't be a full turn of the wrench. When you talk about the difference between an agent and a manager, they will look for almost all of that stuff, but a manager, they want entrepreneurs who will go out there and find the work. If you are going for a national agent, and even the ones in the larger markets like Atlanta or Chicago, you're going to need a pro demo. You're also going to want not necessarily a CV or resume, at least a spreadsheet or a note or something that lays out all of the work that you've done. The big clients you've landed in the last year or 2 years, where most of your work is coming from. They say, hey, so where are you getting your work from? Oh, I get some things from Fiverr, some things from Voice 123. It doesn't sound like anything, like you're not really serious about this, are you? Also, if you are union versus non-union is going to be a thing. They're going to ask you, most people are going to be non-union. They're going to want to know, do you have plans to become union? Another thing you need to prepare is who you've coached with or what workshops you've been to. I hate to say it, but in this industry, name value matters more than you think. That's why I always say vet your coaches, make sure that the coaches are doing the work that you want to do or have worked in casting for the things you want to do. And then lastly, they want to know who produced your demo. There's a lot of demo mills out there who just want to sell you a demo and say goodbye. There are demo producers out there, though, that are very, very picky. And if you reach out to them, they turn away most people that apply to them. J. Michael Collins, Eric Romanowski, he's the one that produced my demo. There's also Chuck Duran, he's industry stable. Everybody knows about Chuck Duran. So they're only going to produce for you if they've vetted you and they think that the coach has trained you up and you're ready to be on the big stage. If you say that they produced your demo, it automatically kind of green lights you. If you get a meeting with an agent, sometimes if they have seen your work and your demo sounds great, they will go ahead and just put you on the roster. A lot of local and regional agents are like that. However, the larger you get, like larger regional markets like Atlanta and Chicago and Dallas, LA and New York, they're going to probably want to hear some reads from you. And so they may send you a fake audition, a mock audition, that will allow them to hear what you really sound like. If you don't have a big career, but they send you those mock auditions and your reads sound pretty good, what'll likely end up happening is they end up hip pocketing you. And basically you're on this temporary roster. You're not on the website. You can't say you're with this agency, but they're going to send you, some stuff here and there. And they're really paying attention to everything we talked about earlier. How is your audio quality? Are you normalizing? Are you labeling? Are you slating? If you book a job with them during that period of time, they're likely going to sign you. You may have to sign a contract. Read the contract. Some agencies require you to be exclusive to them. The last note I want to make about that is if you are applying to these agencies, every agency has their own submission process. So ACM, they have a 12-page thing you have to fill out. Ta-da! You have to email them your commercial demo. Now you've submitted, and the question is, when do you follow up? If you're able to contact them via email, you have a contact email, I would consider it to be okay to follow up unless they tell you otherwise. Don't make it long, just one paragraph or a couple sentences. If after the follow-up you don't hear anything, let it go. They probably aren't interested in you. Do not take any of this personal. Now, here's something that many people don't realize. When agents are holding workshops or managers are holding workshops, the reason why they're holding workshops is because they're looking for something. They're not going to tell you that. You may be that thing, you may not be that thing. Reading live for these people is the best way to let them know what you can do. And this is really, really helpful if you don't have a large book of work. If you don't have a lot of jobs and haven't really done a lot of things, but you have the skills to back it up, you have the demo to back it up, what better way to show them what you can do than to read in a workshop? It's so much better than sending out this email into the void, hoping for a response that they don't know you from Adam. But in a workshop, they can literally see your face, talk to you, get to know where you are. The game changer for me when it came to representation was being very strategic about which workshops I attended. If you do a great job and you do the read and oh, that was really good, blah, 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 and they redirect you and you give another great read after they redirect you, if they start asking you who you're represented by, what jobs have you booked recently, where do you live, what time zone are you in, do you have Source Connect? If they're asking you this during the workshop, that's a waving the green flag. You are ready to go. Make sure you reach out to them after the workshop because it's likely that they'll sign you, if not hip pocket you.